one thing that I think audiences are feeling so far in the film festivals and the screenings that we've had is they do realize, wow, these people have been through a lot, and they're still willing to come to the table. And it's hard to overstate the power and the beauty of that. Because as harsh as this issue was, as brutal as that pipeline was, as insensitive as the way it was done, and the whole thing really brings into bigger question, issues of constitutional morality, issues of, who are we as a nation, really brings these things to light. I think the bigger thing is, like, are we willing to come to the table as well? Would you be willing to go to the table if the tables were turned, and if your people had gone through what so many of these indigenous tribes have gone through for 300, 400, 500 years? These are tribes that had a documentation of history stretching back for some of them thousands of years. And yes, it was not written in the Western sense of how we document history, but their oral traditions are extremely accurate from generation to generation. They had an incredible knowledge of the ecosystem of what we call the United States today. They built the soils that we eat from. They managed buffalo. They managed bison. They did managed burns. And so we kind of think of, the innocent savage. That's the Western mindset. It's like, oh, these were primitive people. They were actually very advanced people.
And they could survive off the land in a way that, European America could never survive.
Yeah, we belittle all those people. Same as we did with Africans, same as we do with the Arabic nations. Like, they were all savages until the white people came and saved them from themselves.
Right. So, I think to understand that there is a rich, not just cultural heritage, which is kind of what we like to say, there's rich knowledge, like knowledge that could save us as we hurl toward a planet of 10 billion people. And as we hurl toward a carbon index of, over 450 ppm, these are serious times that we live in. These are, if you stand back and you look at what the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, this is the largest scientific endeavor that human beings have ever done. It's 2 billion data points. And what does it say? It says you're screwed unless you decarbonize your society quickly. Well, how are we going to figure out how to do that? Maybe we should talk to the people who were here before who had that going on. When Lewis and Clark came across the great mountain ranges of the United States, in their journals, they talk about the incredible strength and stature of the indigenous people they met. They met people who were taller, broader, better fed, far stronger than they were. And this speaks to the fact that there was a plethora of nutritional availability. They were managing their nutrition. They were agriculturalists. They understood how to manage the land. All of that knowledge is what we're working on in our other films called Regenerative Agriculture. That's how we're gonna get through the global crisis. And guess who has the knowledge? The people who were building pipelines over their sacred burial grounds. It's so, I think on Sacred Ground, it's not going to be a film for everybody. That's fine. But if you are brave and you want a powerful spiritual experience and you care about the environment, watch the film. It's an amazing film. It will give you a moment of realization that we are guests here.
Yeah. I think so. And I think that the problem is that I see, like, I think we should all be learning from the indigenous cultures. But the thing that they have that we don't have is they care about the collective. Mm-hmm. Indigenous cultures very much recognize the strength of the collective. We do not do that. And so when they look at ways of survival and doing regenerative agriculture and all the stuff that we support, that those things also go hand in hand with this understanding of the greater needs of a collective, because there are compromises and there are sacrifices. Not everybody gets to eat meat every meal every day, right? Like there have to be certain concessions. And in a group of people that spiritually care about the nature of collective, they all tend to get that. We see this in other countries. We see that in Asia.
You communists, I can eat meat every day if I want.
What I'm saying is it goes hand in hand, and indigenous cultures tend to understand the nature and the concept of sacrifice in favor of the collective. And we are so lost on that general principle that to me affects so many of our issues. Like in this country, is that just lack of real communal. And yes, and that's when I get called communist Karen and whatever other crap people want to call me. But like that care of the collective is the only thing that will have us survive as a species if it's not too late already. Yeah. So like I don't see any other way out of this other than collectively. And it is only the indigenous people that seem to get that the most.
And how beautiful that they are still here and they're still willing to help. There were millions of people that watched the events of Standing Rock on Facebook. The mainstream media did a terrible job of covering the event. And there are many reasons for that. But the reality is this touched people's hearts. They really, every yoga studio, I was very much part of the yoga community at the time, had a collections box and donations. The amount of outpouring of just the feeling of like, enough is enough. When are we going to start respecting people's boundaries? And I think it's important to not let that historical moment go away. That was one of the reasons why Rebecca and I are like, okay, we're out, we're taking on something that is so beyond us on so many levels. We're pretty much likely to fail in making this film. We're going to go out with a blaze of glory here. We're just like, but it's such an important story, and no one's telling it. And even if we do a terrible job, at least the story will continue to stay alive.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.